take time to honor the supreme within us. Let us make time to embrace our truth, to embrace the gift of life that is so abused today. Life has lost its preciousness. The sanctity of life is being sacrificed on the altars of men and women's greed, their thirst for power, their thirst to control, their thirst to desecrate the divine within the heart. And this is done in a subtle way. It is so subtle, it is frightening. So for us to hear that inner voice, we have a duty of care. I know for many of my years, both as a nursing monk and then as a nurse manager, in charge of a very busy hospital, and then latterly in palliative care, caring for the dying in hospital and in home. For 12 years, we were trained to empower ourselves, take responsibility for our life. And we were trained to put the patient's needs first, for they were paramount. And it came flowing freely that our duty of care to our patient can only begin when we have exercised that same duty of care to ourselves. And if we are on the spiritual path, there is another duty of care. And that duty of care is to honor the divine within our being, to honor the supreme within our soul. And if we say we are a child of God, if that's what we are truly saying, that I believe in a higher being, I believe in universal life force energy, but only give lip service to it and totally ignore the truth, then the Barefoot Galilean has a message for me and for you. Begone, you charlatans. You are not worthy to sit at my table, for you honor me with your lips, but your heart is far from me. Those words I have heard many times in my journey. I have heard them so many times for myself and for others that I've been supporting as clients, as oblates, as novices, as lay monastics in our community, where sometimes we forget. We forget our duty of care as a child of God. And we violate our innermost sanctum. We violate the supreme within us through our running away from our shadows, from allowing fear and guilt rape our divinity, because we are frightened, because we are afraid to displease God. What a paradox. The Good Shepherd, the reflection for this evening for our oblates in training, was the first part of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. If that is true, I know it's true, but do you believe it to be true for you? Do you really believe that the Father, Mother, God Supreme is your shepherd, and that they will take care of you? Or is it just something you have read in the Holy Bible and it doesn't really resonate? But if it resonates, what do you do with it? Where do you go with it? Do you put a bookmark in and think, oh, I'll come back and read that again when I'm feeling good? I don't feel good at the moment. I'm processing. Hello. I've spent too many years processing, and then I ended up crucifying myself, living a miserable life. But I shared with our group today, the moment I gave in to my heart, at 11:59 p.m. on the eve of the 8th of December, 2007, the anniversary when I became a novice in a monastic order, and my anniversary when I became a young monk ordained in service to God in 1968. It is a special day for me. But in 2007, I fought for 6 months to ignore the inner voice. It came every day, loud and clear. It didn't stop. It was persistent. It was nagging like a toothache, like a bellyache. And the inner voice said, come. I called you by your name. You are my child. I never let you go. Please don't let me go. I love you. I need you. And I knelt down and I wept tears. Tears for my selfishness. Tears because I was afraid. Because when I heard Jesus say, come back to me, I misunderstood him. I thought he was asking me to come back into the Catholic Church and enter a contemplative order. And I couldn't cope with that. I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with the realization that he wanted me to go back into a monastery setting when it took me 12 years of my life in counseling to recover from my first 8 years of serving him as an ordained monk. 12 years to recover from the horror and the brainwashing and the loneliness. The loneliness was the hardest thing. I loved God, but the God I loved was a God of fear, not the God I know now, who's a God of love. So when he was saying to me, come back to me, I panicked and an inner voice said, not to the church. Live it here. Embrace me now where you are, in your monastery without walls. Surrender your heart. Let me take care of you. Let me provide for you. And then I wept. Oh, did I weep tears as I knelt, as the clock struck midnight in the lounge. I created an altar of celebration, of dedication, with a statue of our Blessed Lady, and I threw myself back into the arms of my beloved. And I had no regrets, except one, that I was so stupid, so foolish, to misunderstand the message of my beloved God. I misunderstood him. My head convinced me that he wanted me to go back into a prison and be crucified again. with all that uncharitableness and prejudice, there was no love. That was my head, not my heart. Had I have listened to my heart, I would not have spent 6 months going through a living hell. But at the stroke of midnight, when I said, "Here I am," I surrender my all, my mind, my body, my spirit, my heart to you. For you are all I know. You are all I love. And I have never looked back. I've never looked back. And the language is the language of love. And that inner voice is only one voice. And it's in my heart. And I don't listen to what other people have to say who are cleverer than me. I'm simple now. I don't need to read fancy books with big words. I keep it simple. I just sit in front of my Lord in the Blessed Sacrament, and I look at him, and I thank him, because he never gave up on me. I gave up on me, because I was arrogant. Spiritually was I arrogant. I was deceitful to my heart. I was violent towards my heart. I denied it love. I denied it providence. I denied it beauty. I denied it peace. But that was then. And today, the greatest promise that you and I can make to Almighty God in service as a member of our community is the promise of providence. That in your surrendering, in your releasing of your heart and bringing your mind into subjection to your heart, you become like the dove. You set it free. Because you're bringing all of this nonsense into your heart. And the teachings of the Essenes, as you've covered in the Tree of Life course, with the powerful affirmations, I am a child of God. I am whole. I am perfection. I am complete. And if you say to me you are a sinner, they're the words of a man-made religion. They are not the words of Jesus. They are not the words of Buddha, or Vishnu, or Ganesh, or Krishna. The Christ is before you and me right now. And he calls you his friend, not an inferior object. He calls you friend because you are his brother and sister, made in the image and likeness that he was of God. So the first promise, the first key of our Franciscan spirituality is the key of providence. When we put our trust in the Supreme, having surrendered our heart as a lay monastic in the modern world, we put our trust in a loving God who will underwrite all our expenses. Not those dubious expenses where we try it on. And the beautiful thing about the vow of providence, the promise of providence, is you don't need a credit card. I don't have a credit card. I don't believe in them. Anything that brings you into debt owns you. It controls you. And when that brown envelope comes in every month for you to pay your installment, it owns you and it creates fear. So when we surrender our life to God as a bride of Christ or as a spiritual man or woman, we are putting our trust in God, who will meet our needs. Not our wants, not the flashy cruise round the Mediterranean, oh no. Not the penthouse on Fifth Avenue, oh please. And not the state-of-the-art hairdressers from Miami, Florida, hello. No. Your needs are met. My needs are met here every day. Every day. There's been days when I've run out of eggs from the hens, and I've desperately craved for a piece of homemade cake. And I go into the garage, and there on the freezer, there's a gift from a neighbor, a homemade chocolate cake. It happens at least twice a month. The vow of Providence is a promise of trust, that we will trust in a loving God to underwrite our basic needs, so that we can continue in service as an ambassador of peace. And if you join me tonight and tomorrow and all this week, you will come to know the 7 keys of Franciscan spirituality, which are not about shackles around your neck where you can't breathe, like religion did to me, where it destroyed my love of God. It left me a paralyzed good for nothing. I was so full of fear. Now I'm not fearful. I'm not fearful of death. I'm not fearful of my enemy. I'm fearful of no one, because I'm free, and nobody owns me, because I've been empowered to be my own person and to make this decision out of love, not out of fear. So let us sit at this table and let us visualize the Master Jesus before us. Let's close our eyes and let us reflect. And let us picture the scene of the Good Shepherd. You see the field. You see the shepherd. And I'll share with you a true story. A few weeks ago I walked along the estuary when the tide was in and the waves were blowing, and the sheep should have been taken in by the farmer, and some of them were stranded, but they were saved in the end. And one was bleating for its mother, and its mother was frantic. It looked everywhere. The little lamb was trapped in a paddock in the woods. But the mother could hear it, and she's running along the walkway, and her little lamb was at the other side of the barbed wire fence. And the mother was frantic, and she would not give up. She would not give up until she found her little lamb. And then the farmer came and rescued the lamb, and it fed from its mother's milk. Nature teaches us so much about God, about God's love for us. The Good Shepherd takes care of his sheep. They know him and they follow him. But today in our modern world, many know him. Many pretend to follow him. But they only give lip service because they don't practice what they preach. They talk the walk. They don't walk the talk. So let us imagine the Good Shepherd speaking to you and saying, "Come, sit with me. Sit with me. Let me touch you by the hand. Let me give you my love. Let me protect you. Oh, but you don't want to, do you? No, because you're afraid. Afraid of what people will say about you. The church mightn't approve of you coming too closer to me as a brother and sister, Franciscan, who embraces all faiths. Oh, no. No, 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 no. I don't want people to know that I'm an oblate in the Teo community. It would bring shame. And the Master looks at you in the eyes. He eyeballs you. And he says to you, do you love me? Do you really love me? Or do you love yourself? If you love me, then swallow your pride, your anxiety, your silliness. Dust yourself down. Take a deep breath. And come. Give me a hug. And he wraps his arms around you. And you suddenly feel years being lifted from you. As happened to me on the eve of the 7th and 8th of December 2007. 5 years ago, when I almost collapsed with mental exhaustion because I was so free. Are you wanting to be free? Are you really wanting to be free? Where no worry or anxiety will take a foothold in your life. Are you really wanting that freedom? Well, if you are, don't think about it. Do it. What have you to lose? Your self-respect? What's that? When you're in divine service, you share the respect of God. So let us be still and feel the Master's arms around us. Let us feel his heartbeat beating against our chest, saying to us, I have loved you with an everlasting love. And I have called you many, many times. Come as you are. Come, follow me. And I will provide for you. I will take care of you. But I can't when you block me, when you become clever and go off on an impulse and do crazy things. If you truly love me, then you will trust me. And if you truly trust me, then you know I will meet your needs. From your toothpaste to your toothbrush, to the bread on your table, to the clothes that you wear, to the wisdom that you need to nourish your heart, your mind, your soul. Let us reflect now. Though we've gone over in time, I want to stay with this for you. I want you to be still now. I want you to hear that inner voice talk to you, Mary, Eleanor, Elizabeth, and whoever else will watch this recording. I want you to hear those words. I will provide for you. I will provide for you. Let his love touch us now. Let the beat of his heart affirm within our heart that we are loved. That we are loved. And if the Lord is my shepherd, then I know in my guts, in my soul, in my spirit that has lived from the beginning of time, that my God, the Creator Father, Mother God, with Gaia, the nature spirits, the tree devas, elementals, and the angels of the animal kingdom, will provide for me my needs, not my wants. Take a deep breath. And now release to love. Release to love. Release to love. So that we are loved. So that we are loved with unconditional selfless love. Not the love we've been given from man-made religions that we've trusted, where it was a controlling love, where we almost had to become a circus clown, jumping through hula hoops to win God's favor. And in the process, becoming the most miserable person that ever walked the earth. Let us be true to ourselves. Let us show dignity to the divine within us by taking back our power, by showing respect to the supreme already within us, and by honoring our truth, that we are all provided for, regardless. And for that providence to mean something, for it to become tangible and practical, we have to surrender our heart to love. In the name of the risen cosmic Christ, I ask the Father, Mother God Supreme, in the presence of Gaia, Francis, Claire, Bridget, oh yes, Bridget, Bernadette, little Therese, Mia Baba, Kuan Yin, Magdalena, Gaia, the company of heaven. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender to love. Namaste. Shalom. Inshallah Pax et Bona. Om Shanti. Solo di Caritas. Peace. And we conclude with the beautiful prayer that Brother Tom sent me for our retreat, for our 7-day novena and retreat, in honor of our spiritual father, Francis of Assisi. And it reads, Brother, Sun and Sister Moon, you guided our dear brother Francis and our sister Claire on their journeys of the heart. We humbly thank you for the gifts of warmth and light, hope and trust, and enlightened determination that you provided for our dear brother Francis, and that you continue to provide for us today. Be our light, brother Sun, and hold our Teo community close to you as you did our brother Francis. We are of many paths, yet the same Spirit. Allow us to be true channels of peace in the world, for we are one. Amen. So be it. Peace, your dear brother Tom. And may God bless our dear brother Tom in bringing that vision, that peace of Francis to God's children in America, where all faiths, all lifestyles can sit at this table and celebrate the gift of Providence. Till we meet again, same time, same place, in God's cathedral. Thank you for watching.